My name is Michael. I am 27 years old and I clean pools for rich people who barely know my last name. Most days I move through gated neighborhoods like a ghost. I slip in through side gates, fix whatever is wrong with the water, and leave before anyone notices I was there. Then one Wednesday morning, a married woman walked out to her pool, untied her robe, let it fall to the ground, and stepped into the water completely naked. She looked right at me and said in a calm, quiet voice, "Come fix this with me." If you are listening right now, tell me in the comments where you are from, because even now, I still do not know if what happened that day was wrong or not. I pulled up to the Whitmore house at 7 o'clock in the morning like I did every Wednesday. Same routine for the last 6 months. Park my truck by the curb, grab my test kit and skimmer, walk through the side gate into a backyard that looked like a page from a magazine. The pool was kidney-shaped, saltwater, heated. It sat in the middle of perfect stone pavers with neat flower beds and tall hedges that blocked the view from the street. There were 2 white lounge chairs, a small table, and a row of glass doors that opened into a huge kitchen I had never been inside. I worked for a small company called Peninsula Pool Service, 12 pools a week on my route. The Whitmore pool was the easiest. No kids throwing toys in the deep end. No beer cans hidden in the skimmer. No leaves piling up because the owner refused to cut a tree. Just clean blue water and quiet. The work itself is simple. Test the water. Adjust chemicals. Skim out any debris. Check the pump, the filter, and the heater. If you know what you are doing, you can be in and out in 40 minutes. That was how I liked it. In, out, on to the next job. I did good work, stayed on schedule, and minded my own business. Most clients like that. They wanted their pool clean and their privacy untouched. Mrs. Whitmore was like that at first. Her name was Clara, but I only saw it on the envelope the first time we serviced the house. She was polite, distant. Sometimes I would see her through the glass doors, moving around the kitchen. She might give a small wave. I would nod. That was it. For 6 months, nothing about that house stuck in my mind. Then one Wednesday morning, everything changed. I had just finished brushing down the walls when I heard the back door slide open. I glanced over my shoulder. Clara stood on the patio barefoot, wearing a white robe, her dark hair loose and falling over her shoulders. No makeup, no jewelry. She looked softer than before, less perfect, more real. "Morning," I said. "Morning," she answered. "Sorry to bother you. I have a question." "Sure. What is it?" Quote, "The water pressure in the upstairs bathroom. Is that connected to the pool system at all?" I shook my head. "No, that is house plumbing. Totally separate." "Oh, I was not sure." She did not go back inside. She just stood there, arms folded, watching me as I checked the filter pressure. The air felt different, more aware. "You come every Wednesday?" she asked after a moment. "Yeah, same day, same time, unless there is a problem." "Do you ever come other days if something goes wrong?" "If a client calls, yes. Emergency service costs more, though." She nodded slowly, like that mattered to her in some way I did not understand. "Good to know." I wiped my hands on my shorts and picked up my bag. "All set for the week. Water is balanced. Equipment is running fine. Thank you," she said. I started toward the gate. I could feel her eyes on my back. At the fence, I glanced over. She stood there looking at the pool, then at the spot where I had been standing. A second later, she turned and went inside. The next Wednesday, same time, same routine. Only this time, she came outside within 5 minutes of me starting. Same white robe, coffee mug in her hand, bare feet on the warm stone. "Morning," she said. "Morning. How is everything?" I asked. "How does the pool look?" "Good. Chemical levels are perfect. No issues." "That is good," she said. She sat on one of the lounge chairs and stayed there. Most people went back inside. She watched me instead. I tried to ignore it, but it is hard to ignore someone who is quietly studying every move you make. After a few minutes, she spoke again. "Do you like this work?" "Pool maintenance?" I asked. "Yes, it is fine. It pays the bills." "That is not what I asked." I stopped, straightened up, and looked at her. "Yeah, I clears throat like it. It is quiet, predictable. I can see when I have done a good job." She smiled a little. "Those are good reasons. What do you do?" I asked. "Nothing," she said. "My husband works. I manage things." "Manage what?" "The house, the calendar, the appearance of having a life." The way she said it made me pause. There was a tired edge under the joke. Before I could say anything, movement caught my eye near the fence. An older neighbor woman was walking a small dog along the sidewalk. She had short gray hair and that tight, neat look people get when they are very interested in other people's business. She stopped and looked through the slats at us. Clara noticed her. Her posture changed at once. She set her cup down, stood up fast. "I should let you finish," she said. Her voice turned cooler, more controlled. She went inside without another word. The neighbor stared for another second, then walked on. I finished my work, packed up, and left. But I kept thinking about one line. The appearance of having a life. The next Wednesday, I almost expected her to stay inside, instead. When I walked through the gate at 7 o'clock, she was already there sitting on the edge of the pool with her robe loose, her feet in the water. "Morning," I said carefully. "Morning," she answered. I started my usual routine. Test kit open, dip the strip, check the colors, adjust numbers. I could feel her eyes on me and also feel that she was somewhere else in her head. After about 10 minutes, she spoke. "My husband travels every Wednesday. Did you know that?" "No," I said I did not. "He is in Seattle or San Francisco or New York. It changes, but it is always Wednesday." I did not respond. I just emptied the skimmer basket and checked the pump. "So, Wednesdays are mine," she said. "The only day I get to exist without being watched." Quote, "I am watching you right now." I said, "No, you were working. There is a difference." I looked up. She was not looking at me. She was watching the water move around her ankles. "What do you want from me, Mrs. Whitmore?" I asked. "Clara, please," she said. "Call me Clara." "Clara, what do you want from me?" She stood up slowly like she had already decided something before I asked. Then she did the one thing that split my life into before and after. She reached down, untied the belt of her robe, and let it slide off her shoulders. The robe dropped onto the stone. She was completely naked. She walked to the edge of the pool, toes at the waterline, and finally lifted her eyes to mine. "Come fix this with me," she said softly. Then she stepped into the pool. I froze. My hand was still on the test kit, fingers wet from the water. Every alarm in my head went off at once. Walk away, look down, do anything but stare. I did not move. She walked in until the water hit her waist, then her chest. Then she floated onto her back. Her dark hair spread out around her like a halo. Sunlight bounced off the water and ran over her skin. She did not swim toward me. She did not say anything else. She just drifted there, eyes closed, like she was alone. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it. I kept telling myself to leave, grab the bag, go through the gate, pretend this never happened, but my boots stayed planted right where they were. I did not stare at her body. I stared at the surface of the pool, at the ripples, at the way the light moved. I held my ground because I knew something deep inside. If I took one step toward her, I would not be the man I thought I was. After what felt like 20 minutes, but was probably 2, she glided to the steps and stood up. Water slid down her shoulders and back. She did not rush. She climbed out, picked up her robe, and put it on like this was any other Wednesday. "Thank you," she said. My throat was dry. For what? For not moving. She did not explain. She just turned and went inside, closing the glass door behind her. I stood there by the pool, hands shaking. I could smell chlorine and the faint scent of her shampoo in the air. My brain tried to replay every second and make sense of it. It could not. Somehow, I packed up my tools, walked back to my truck, and drove to my next stop. I cleaned another pool, then another. My body knew the routine, but my mind stayed in that backyard with Clara stepping into the water. That night, I sat on my small couch in my small apartment and thought about calling my supervisor. I almost told him to give the Whitmore account to someone else. I even started typing the message, then stopped because some part of me wanted to know what would happen next Wednesday. The next week, I pulled up to the Whitmore house and just sat there with the engine running. My hands were on the wheel. I could have driven past and no one would have known. After 5 minutes, I killed the engine, got out, grabbed my gear, and walked through the gate. Clara was sitting at the patio table, fully dressed this time, jeans, a simple sweater, hair pulled back in a low ponytail. She looked like any other tired rich wife in the neighborhood. "Morning," she said, like nothing strange had ever happened between us. "Morning," I answered. I started working. The silence between us felt heavier than last week when she had been naked in the water. She stayed in her chair, hands around a mug that had probably gone cold. Half an hour later, I was done. I closed the lid on the skimmer and picked up my bag. "Michael," I turned. "Yeah, same time next week?" she asked. I studied her face. She looked nervous and hopeful at the same time. "I do not know," I said honestly. "Please, why?" "Because you are the only person in my life who does not seem to want something from me," she said. "My husband wants a perfect wife. My friends want status. Everyone else wants access. You just want to clean the pool." "I do want something," I said. Her mouth tensed. "Of course you do. I want you not to make this complicated," I said. Her shoulders relaxed a little. "It is already complicated. I am just being honest about it." "I will think about it," I said. "That is all I am asking." I left, but I already knew the truth. I would be back. During the week, I kept replaying that morning she got into the pool. The more I thought about it, the more I realized it had not been random. She had timed it. Her husband always traveled on Wednesdays. She had watched my schedule for months. She knew when we would be alone. It had been a test. The next Wednesday, I showed up. I did not knock. I did not call ahead. I just walked through the gate like always. Clara was already outside. Same table, same seat, same calm face that did not match the storm I knew was behind it. "You came," she said. "Yeah. Why?" "Because I want to understand what this is," I said. "Because this is not about the pool." A sad little smile pulled at her mouth. "No, it is not about the pool." I set my tools down, but did not open them yet. "So, what is it about?" She looked at the water for a long time before answering. "Loneliness," she said. "Being in a big pretty house and feeling like a ghost in my own life, wanting someone to see me without wanting to own me." Quote, "You think I see you?" I asked. "I know you do," she said quietly. "Because when I was in that pool, completely exposed, you did not move toward me. You did not run away either. You stayed exactly where you were. You did not turn me into something else. You just let me exist." I swallowed. What did you want me to do that day? Exactly what you did. It hit me then that she had not been trying to tempt me into anything. She had been trying to see if there was anyone in her world who could be trusted not to cross a line. She sat back in her chair as I finally started the tests. While I worked, she talked. She told me about her marriage, how it had started strong and slowly crumbled under long trips, late meetings, and quiet fights that never fully ended. How her husband liked showing her off at events, but barely spoke to her at home. She said she had tried hobbies, charities, even yoga retreats, but nothing touched the empty spot inside her. "I got tired of pretending," she said. "Of smiling at neighbors like Lena and acting like this is all enough." "Lena," I repeated, "the woman with the small dog." Clara nodded. "She talks to everyone, including my husband." I remembered how the neighbor had watched us through the fence. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the water temperature. 3 weeks into that new routine, Clara asked me a question as I was packing up. "Do you ever think about that morning?" She said the naked pool morning. I asked. She gave a small laugh. "Yes, I think about it," I said. I could have lied. I did not. "What do you think?" Quote, "That it would have been simpler if you had stayed inside," I said. "If we had never crossed that line, would it have been better?" She asked. "I do not know," I said. "But it would have been easier." "I am sorry for making things harder," she said. "Do not be," I told her. "Sometimes harder is more honest." She looked at me in a way that made my chest hurt, like she was seeing straight through me. "I trust you," she said, "more than anyone else in my life." "You should not," I said. "I am just a guy who cleans pools." Quote, "You are the only one who stayed on the deck," she answered. "That counts for something." That afternoon, as I sat in my truck between jobs, my phone rang. It was Evan, my supervisor at Peninsula. "Got a second?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, my stomach tightened. "I have been hearing things about the Whitmore place," he said. "That you are spending extra time there. That the homeowner is a little too friendly." My grip on the steering wheel tightened. "Who told you that?" "Does not matter," he said. "Look, I believe you when you say nothing is happening, but perception matters. Private clients, married women, it is a bad mix." "Nothing is happening," I repeated. "I get it," he said. "I am just telling you the horror is watching. If they get spooked, we lose the whole contract and you lose your route." "What do you want me to do?" "Keep it professional," he said. "Clock in, clock out. No extra time, no hanging around, no giving people a reason to talk." He hung up, but his words stayed with me because someone had already started talking. And if there is one thing I know about gated neighborhoods, it is that whispers move faster than water. The next Wednesday, I showed up at the Whitmore house earlier than usual. Part of me wanted to get in and out before anyone could see us. I parked on the street like always, grabbed my tools, and walked through the side gate. Clara was not at the table this time. She was standing near the deep end, arms wrapped around herself like she had been waiting for me. "Morning," I said. "Morning," she answered, but her voice sounded tight. I went straight to work. No small talk, no questions, just water tests and equipment checks. I could feel her watching me, but I tried to keep Evan's words in my head. Clock in, clock out. No extra time. Halfway through brushing the walls, I heard footsteps on the sidewalk. I looked up. The neighbor, the gray-haired woman with the little dog, stood at the fence again. "Excuse me," she called. "Pool service." I walked over. "Yes, ma'am. Can I help you? How long does it usually take you to clean a pool like this?" she asked. "About 40 minutes, I said. "Why?" "Just curious," she answered. "We have been thinking about hiring a new company. I have noticed you are very thorough. Mrs. Whitmore must appreciate that." I kept my face blank. "If you would like service, you can call the office. It will set you up." Her smile did not reach her eyes. "I am sure they will." She walked on, the dog trotting at her heels. When I turned back, Clara was standing at the edge of the pool. She had heard every word. Her face looked pale, like someone had just turned down the brightness on her whole body. "That was Lena," she said quietly. "She talks to everyone, including my husband." "Nothing is happening," I said. "We have not done anything wrong." "It does not matter," Clara said. "People see what they want to see." "So, what do we do?" I asked. She looked at the pool, then at me, then at the fence where Lena had been standing. "I do not know," she said. "But I am not ready to stop." I should have said we had to. I should have reminded her about my job, the contract, the hoa. Instead, I heard myself say, "I am not ready to stop either." 2 days later, my phone buzzed while I was eating dinner. Unknown number. "Can't do this week. I'm sorry." No name, but I knew it was her. I stared at the message for a long time. My thumbs hovered over the screen. I typed, "Okay," deleted it. Typed, "Is everything all right?" Deleted that, too. In the end, I sent one word. Understood. That Wednesday, I drove past the Whitmore neighborhood on my way to another job. My hands turned the wheel a little, almost out of habit. I ignored it and kept going. The next Wednesday, same thing. No text, no call, no pull on my list. It felt wrong, like a song that ended before the last note. The week after that, I added the Whitmore house back into my route on my paper schedule. Evan did not have to know. I told myself I would just check the water, make sure nothing was growing in there. I pulled up at 7 o'clock and walked to the gate. The latch did not move. It was locked. I stood there for a minute with my hand on the metal trying to decide if I should ring the doorbell, if I should force the issue, if I had any right to. I stepped back, walked to my truck, and left. That afternoon, Evan called. "Michael, got a minute?" "Yeah," I said, bracing myself. "The Riverside Hoa is doing a surprise inspection on all the pools next week," he said. "They got a complaint. Someone said one of our guys was spending too much time at certain houses, being inappropriate with homeowners." My chest tightened. "Who filed it?" Quote, "They will not say," he answered. "But it is pretty clear which house they are worried about." "Nothing happened," I said. "I swear." "I believe you," he said. "But like I told you, perception is reality. So here's what we are going to do. I am taking the Whitmore property off your route. Giving it to Jake." "For how long?" I asked. "Indefinite," he said. "I am sorry, man. We cannot risk the Hoa contract." He hung up. Just like that, Wednesdays at the Whitmore pool were gone. Days turned into weeks. I cleaned other pools, talked to other clients, drove through other quiet streets. But every Wednesday at 7, I would look at the clock and think about Clara on that patio and the pool I was not cleaning. I wondered what she was doing. If she was sitting by the water alone, if she had a new pool guy, if she was pretending none of it had happened. 3 weeks after the route change, I was half asleep on my couch when my phone buzzed at 11 at night. Unknown number again. "There's a leak in the pool equipment. I don't trust anyone else. Can you come?" I stared at the screen. My heart started racing. I knew it was her. I knew there probably was no leak. I also knew exactly what I should do. I should ignore it. I should block the number. I should protect my job and my life and whatever thin distance we had forced between us. Instead, I typed, "When now if you can, the porch light will be on." I looked at the clock. 11:07. "I will be there in 20 minutes, I wrote. I drove through dark streets with my stomach in knots. The Whitmore neighborhood looked different at night. Quieter, more private, the kind of quiet that makes every sound feel louder. When I pulled up, the porch light was on, just like she said. Every other window in the house was dark. The gate was unlocked this time. I pushed it open and walked into the backyard. Clara was sitting on the edge of the pool, jeans and a hoodie instead of a robe, her bare feet in the water. Her hair was pulled up in a messy knot. She looked smaller somehow, like the weeks without our Wednesdays had pressed her down. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi," I answered. "Where is the leak?" "There is no leak," she said. "I am sorry I lied." "I figured," I said. I sat down a few feet away from her on the warm stone. "So why am I here?" "Because I could not stop thinking about you," she said. "About our mornings, about the way you looked at me like I was a person. I needed to see you one more time to say goodbye the right way." "Is that what this is?" I asked. "Goodbye. It has to be," she said. "After Lena's complaint, the HOA called my husband. They told him there were concerns about the pool guy. I told him you were completely professional, that Lena was bored and making things bigger than they were. I think he believed me enough not to dig, but I had to stop for both our sakes." We sat there listening to the soft hum of the pool filter. The water made tiny sounds against the tile. The night felt thick around us. "Why did you text me then?" I asked if we already ended it. Quote, "Because knowing you exist and not seeing you at all felt worse than the risk," she said. "Because I did not want our last moment to be you walking away from a locked gate." I did not know what to say to that. "I am not asking for anything," she said quickly. I am not asking you to touch me or sneak around with me or blow up your life. I just needed you here one more time so I could tell you this to your face. You changed something for me, Michael. You showed me that someone could see me and still choose restraint. I did not know that was possible. I looked at her, at the tired lines near her eyes, at the way her hands twisted in her lap when she was scared, at the pool that had become our strange little chapel. I think about you every Wednesday at 7, I said. She closed her eyes. Do not say that, she whispered. Why not? Because it makes this harder, she said. It should be hard, I answered. If it was easy, it would mean it did not matter. She looked at me again, and for a second we were right back in that moment when she stepped into the pool naked and asked me to fix something I could not even see. I cannot leave him, she said. I cannot leave this life. It is empty, but it is mine. I am not strong enough to walk away. I am not asking you to, I said. I do not even know what I am asking for. Maybe nothing. Maybe just this. Sitting by your pool at midnight telling the truth for once. For how long? She asked. For as long as we can before it destroys us. I said. We both knew that could not be forever. But for that night, we let ourselves pretend that it could at least be a little longer. We did not make a plan that night by the pool. Not really. We just sat there until the air turned cold and our fingers went numb. Then she told me I should go before her husband woke up. Will I see you again? I asked at the gate. I do not know, she said. But if I text, it will be late, when it is safe. I nodded and walked back to my truck with my heart torn in two directions. One side wanted to keep coming back. The other side wanted to cut the tie before it could choke both of us. 2 weeks passed, no texts, no calls, no locked gate this time because I did not drive past the house at all. I kept my word to Evan, kept my head down, did my other pulls. Then on a Thursday night at 10 o'clock, my phone buzzed just to talk. Are you free? My stomach flipped. I checked the address she sent, even though I did not need to. It was burned into my brain. I was there at 9:58. The porch light was on. The rest of the house was dark. The gate was unlocked. Clara sat on the same stone by the pool, wrapped in a long sweater, knees pulled up to her chest. Steam rose from the water in thin lines. You came, she said. You asked, I answered. We did not talk about big things at first. She asked about my other jobs. I told her about a pool that had turned green and had taken 3 days to save. I told her about a kid who had brought me lemonade and watched every move I made like I was doing magic. She told me about a book she was reading, about how the weather was changing, about how the leaves on the street out front were making a mess, and it bothered her more than it should. On the surface, it was small talk underneath. It felt like something else, like two people standing on different sides of a line, staring at it, agreeing not to step over. After an hour, she checked the time inside. You should go, she said. If he wakes up and you are here, I will not be able to explain it away this time. Will you text again? I asked. I hope so, she said. She did 3 days later, a week after that. Always late at night, always careful. We never touched beyond sitting close. We never kissed. We never did any of the things people think of when they hear a story about a young pool guy and a married woman. We just talked. Sometimes we sat in silence. Sometimes we laughed. Sometimes she cried. The more we held that line, the more intense it felt. It was like trying to stand still on a steep hill. You feel every inch of pull, every tiny slide of your feet, and you keep choosing to lean back instead of fall. 3 months after that first late night visit, she texted on a Tuesday. Equipment is acting up. Can you come tonight? There was an address. Same as always. Same porch light. I grabbed my tools this time just in case. It made the lie easier to tell if I believed a small part of it myself. When I walked into the backyard, something felt off. Clara was by the pool, but she was standing, not sitting. Her shoulders were stiff. Her jaw was tight. She was not alone. A man in a pressed shirt and dress pants stood near the glass doors, scrolling through his phone. Older, silver at his temples, the kind of man who looked like he lived on planes and in boardrooms, her husband. He looked up when he heard the gate. His eyes moved over my work shirt, my tool bag, the equipment pad behind me. Can I help you? He asked. Pool service, I said. My voice sounded steady even though my chest was pounding. I got a call about a problem with the equipment. Emergency visit. Something about the water backing up. He turned to Clara. You called pool service? Yes, she said. This afternoon. I told you you were on that call with Tokyo. You did not answer me. That part was half true. He probably had been on a call. He stared at her for a long second, then at me, then at his phone, like he was lining up pieces in his head and deciding it was not worth the effort. Fine, he said. Fix it and send the bill to the office. He went inside without another glance. The door slid shut. My legs felt weak. I walked to the equipment pad because I needed something to do with my hands. I opened the panel, checked the pump, looked at the gauges. Everything was normal. Clara followed, standing in the doorway of the small equipment nook. I am sorry, she whispered. His flight was supposed to land at midnight. They moved it. I did not know he would be home this early. It is okay, I said. No, she said. It is not. He saw you. He will remember you. He may not care now, but if anything looks strange later, he will think back to this night. I closed the panel slowly. Then we stop, I said. Right now, before it blows up in our faces. Her eyes filled with tears. I do not want to stop. Neither do I said. But we do not get to have it both ways. We cannot be this close and pretend no one will ever notice. We are not invisible, Clara. Not to everyone. She looked down at the concrete. I cannot go back to being that ghost I was before, she said. Back to being something pretty in the corner of his life. You are not a ghost, I said. You are not invisible, not to me. Even if we never speak again, I will always know you were real. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. So that is it, she asked. We just walk away. We do not end, I said. We pause until it is safer. Maybe that is never. Maybe it is months from now. Maybe we only talk in our heads. But if we keep meeting like this, we are going to hurt more than just ourselves. She nodded, even though everything about her face said she hated it. You are right, she said. You are right, and I hate you for it. I hate me for it too, I said. I stepped past her back into the night air. Goodbye, Michael, she said. Goodbye, Clara, I answered. I did not look back. I walked through the gate, closed it, and sat in my truck until my hand stopped shaking. That was 8 weeks ago. I have not been back. I have not driven down her street. I have not checked the route list to see which tech took over the Whitmore pool. Life went on. Other pools, other houses, other clients who ask simple questions about filters and heater settings. Last week, a new client, an older couple with a big yard and a tired pool, asked if I did Wednesday mornings. House is empty. Then, the wife said, my husband is at golf. Nice and quiet. You could take your time. I saw the loneliness in her eyes, the careful hair, the planned smile. I could tell she was used to people ignoring her unless she was serving food or smiling for a photo. No, I said. I keep Wednesdays open for personal reasons, company policy. Oh, she said that is too bad. Yeah, I said it is. I finished the job and left, but the whole drive home, I knew the truth. Wednesdays were open because of Clara. Because of those months by her pool, because I needed one day that reminded me I had a choice. Every Wednesday at 7, I still wake up and think about her backyard, about the steam rising off the water, about the way she wrapped her robe around herself and said, thank you for not moving. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes, my phone buzzes late at night. No name, just a picture. A clean blue pool, no people, no words. Her way of saying she remembers, too. I never reply. I never send anything back. I do not ask for more because answering would light a match we both worked hard to put out last night. A different kind of message came. The pool needs winterizing. I trust you. One last time. I stared at it for a long minute. It was simple, but I knew what it meant. Not just chemicals and covers. One last look. One last talk before the water went still for the season. When? I typed. Thursday late when the neighborhood is asleep. I will be there, I wrote. I do not know exactly what will happen when I walk through that gate again. I think we will sit by the pool and talk about nothing and everything. I think we will remember the morning she stepped into the water and tested what kind of man I was. I think we will say goodbye without saying the word. Because in the end, this was never about a pool. It was about what we chose not to do, about standing on the edge of something that could burn down whole lives and stepping back again and again. Even when every part of us wanted to fall forward, Clara did not need me to fix her. She needed me to see her and not take from her, to stay on the deck when she was at her most exposed, to prove that at least one person in her world would choose her dignity over his own desire. I did not always get everything right, but I got that part right. Some people are not meant to be yours. They are meant to show you what real connection looks like when you strip away all the grabbing and owning and taking. When you just sit beside someone and let them be fully seen. The pool will close for winter soon. The water will go still. The porch light will go out earlier. Life will settle back into its neat safe lines. But every Wednesday at 7, I know I will wake up and think of her, of the woman who stepped into her own pool and asked me to fix something I could never touch. And I will remember that the bravest thing we ever did was not what we did together, but what we chose not to do.